Nobody tells you this at the beginning. When you first discover trading, it feels like freedom. Freedom from bosses. Freedom from fixed income. Freedom from asking for permission. Trading is presented as skill-based, logical, almost surgical. Learn the strategy. Master risk management. Control your emotions. Simple. But what you weren't told is this. Trading doesn't start by testing your strategy. It starts by testing your identity. The moment real money is involved, something shifts. It's no longer just analysis. It's no longer just probability. It becomes personal. A winning trade doesn't just feel good, it feels validating. A losing trade doesn't just hurt, it feels exposing. And slowly, without you noticing, the market stops being a chart and starts becoming a mirror. You were told trading was about predicting price, but trading is really about how you respond when outcomes aren't in your control. Two traders can take the exact same setup, same entry, same stop, same risk. One follows the plan and walks away. The other interferes, adjusts, moves things, not because the market changed, but because something inside them did. Trading doesn't care who you believe you are. Calm people discover anxiety. Confident people discover fragility. Disciplined people discover impulses they didn't know existed. And this is where most people get uncomfortable. Not because they're losing money, but because they're meeting parts of themselves they've never had to face. Trading itself isn't bad. The market isn't out to get you. There's nothing wrong with the charts. But trading will put you in situations where waiting feels unbearable. Being wrong feels threatening. Doing nothing feels like failure. And when that pressure builds quietly, internally, most traders don't recognize it as psychological weight. They just tell themselves they lack discipline. And that belief sits there. Most traders believe emotions show up loudly. They expect anger, fear, panic. But that's not how it usually happens. Emotion enters quietly. It starts as a thought you barely notice. I'll just manage this a bit. Let me protect something here. I don't want to give this back. Nothing dramatic. And because it doesn't feel emotional, you don't treat it as dangerous. But the moment you interfere with a plan you trusted 5 minutes ago, something important has already shifted. Not the market. You. Traders like to say, I broke my rules. But rules don't break themselves. They get overridden by a feeling that feels reasonable in the moment. That's the trap. Emotion rarely announces itself as emotion. It disguises itself as logic. You tell yourself you're being cautious, or proactive, or smart. But what you're really doing is responding to discomfort. The discomfort of uncertainty. Because once a trade is live, you're no longer in control. And the human mind doesn't like that. Especially if you're someone who's used to being competent, used to fixing things, used to effort leading to results. Trading breaks that pattern. You can do everything right and still lose. And that creates internal tension most traders aren't prepared for. So they start trying to regain control, not with better analysis, but with micro decisions, moving stops, closing early, adding when they shouldn't, watching every tick. Each decision feels small, harmless. But over time, these small reactions form a habit, and that habit slowly erodes trust. Not just trust in the strategy, but trust in yourself. Because after a while, you're no longer sure. Is the plan bad? Or do I just not follow it? That uncertainty doesn't stay on the chart. It follows you. You start second-guessing before you enter. You hesitate. You miss trades. Then when you finally do enter, the pressure is heavier. Because now it feels like this trade needs to work. And the more a trade needs to work, the harder it is to let it breathe. Pressure in trading doesn't always come from the market. It comes from inside you. That small, quiet voice saying, this can't lose. I can't let this slip. I need to be right. At first, it feels like motivation, like focus, like discipline. But over time, that voice becomes a weight that pushes you to act, even when doing nothing is the right choice. Traders call it discipline failure. I call it emotional pressure disguised as responsibility. You think you're being rational, but you're reacting to the fear of feeling wrong. And that fear is loudest when you start measuring your self-worth by the outcome of a trade. You didn't realize it, but you've started playing for more than money. Every pip lost isn't just account equity. It's ego, pride, and the illusion of control slipping away. That's why traders get anxious even before trade. Why they overanalyze, hesitate, and second-guess themselves. It's not the strategy failing. It's the pressure in their head. And here's the thing. The more pressure builds, the more it leaks into every decision. Suddenly, trading isn't about probability anymore. It's about proving something to yourself. Winning doesn't feel like profit. It feels like redemption. Losing doesn't feel like money gone. It feels like you failed. And the more often you feel that way, the more trading starts to feel like a battle with your own mind rather than the market. Most traders think their mistakes are technical. I entered too early. I let the trade run too long. I didn't follow the plan. And yes, those things happen. But the real driver isn't the chart. It's the mind behind the chart. When a trade moves against you, your brain doesn't see pips. It sees threats. Threats to money. Threats to pride. Threats to identity. That threat triggers a reaction, often so subtle you barely notice it. A small tweak to your stop loss. Closing early because it feels safer. Adding a bit more because this time it has to work. Each of these feels justified, logical, smart, but it's the same pattern over and over. And every time you override your plan, your mind takes a note. It whispers. Rules are optional. Plans don't matter. I can control this somehow. Those whispers are dangerous because eventually you start trading in reaction to how you feel rather than how the market behaves. You chase comfort, not opportunity. You chase certainty, not probability. And the strangest part is, you don't even see it happening. That's why traders who appear disciplined on the outside, who stick to the setups and strategies on paper, crumble as soon as real money is on the line. Not because they lack skill, but because they haven't learned to manage the mind that's trading. Most traders don't repeat mistakes because they don't learn. They repeat them because something inside them is unresolved. You promise yourself you won't overtrade again. You swear you'll respect your stop. You tell yourself this time will be different. And for a while, it is. Until the same feeling shows up. The restlessness, the urge to act, the discomfort of waiting. And when that feeling appears, your brain reaches for relief. Not improvement, relief. That's why mistakes feel familiar. They're not random. They're patterned responses to emotional states you haven't learned to sit with. Overtrading isn't about greed. It's about discomfort with stillness. Revenge trading isn't about anger. It's about refusing to accept a loss emotionally. Cutting winners early isn't about fear of losing money. It's about fear of giving back something that finally made you feel okay. And every time you act on those urges, your nervous system gets reinforced. It learns. When I feel this way, I do this. That's how habits form. Through repetition under emotional pressure. Which is why watching more videos doesn't fix it. Which is why downloading another strategy doesn't fix it. Because the problem isn't a lack of information. It's a lack of awareness. You can't change a pattern you don't notice. And most traders are so focused on the chart. They never notice what's happening inside them while they trade. If you've reached this point in the video, please let me know. Hit the like button and comment so I know this is useful for you. Now let's talk about a point most traders reach that they don't talk about. It's when trading stops feeling technical and starts feeling heavy. You sit in front of the charts, but your body is tense. You're not even in a trade yet, and you already feel pressure. That pressure doesn't come from price. It comes from memory, past losses, missed opportunities, times you didn't trust yourself, times you did and still lost. Every new trade carries the emotional residue of the ones before it. And without realizing it, you start trading your history instead of the market. You hesitate because last time hurt. You rush because you don't want to miss out again. You size down because you don't trust yourself anymore. None of this is random. It's emotional memory at work. The market becomes the place where all that unresolved tension shows up, which is why trading can feel exhausting even when you're not doing much. You're not just managing positions. You're managing feelings. And when you don't know that's what you're doing, it drains you. That's when traders start saying things like, "I'm burnout. I've lost my edge. Maybe trading just isn't for me." You size up because you're tired of small wins. But often, it's not trading that's wearing them down. It's the constant emotional effort of trying to control outcomes, instead of learning how to sit with uncertainty. And the longer that goes unaddressed, the heavier every decision feels. Trading eventually asks you a question, not verbally, not directly, but through repetition, through pressure, through moments where you want to act and choose not to. The question is simple. Can you stay present when nothing is happening? Because the market doesn't reward urgency. It doesn't reward effort. It doesn't care how badly you want a result. It rewards patience, restraint, and emotional neutrality, which is uncomfortable, especially in a world where movement feels like progress. Trading forces you to confront that discomfort. It asks you to sit with uncertainty without trying to escape it, to accept being wrong without collapsing, to win without becoming reckless, to lose without becoming desperate. And that's why trading feels different from other skills. You can't overpower it. You can't hustle your way through it. You can't fake emotional maturity. The market keeps responding to who you are in the moment, not who you want to be. That's the part most people don't prepare for. Trading doesn't just require learning. It requires unlearning. Old reactions, old beliefs, old ways of measuring self-worth through outcomes. And when you resist that inner work, trading feels like a fight. But when you start noticing what's happening inside you, something shifts. Not in the market, in you. The charts don't change. The rules don't change. But your relationship with uncertainty does. And that relationship quietly determines everything. We've come to the end of this video. And if any part of this felt uncomfortable, that's usually a sign it touched something real. I'm curious about one thing. What part of trading challenges you the most mentally? Is it waiting, taking losses, letting winners run, or trusting yourself after a bad streak? Drop in the comments. Not for advice, just awareness. Because once you can name what affects you, it stops controlling you quietly. If this resonated with you, do not forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.